Wow, that is some story.
You can say that again.
So your choices are siding with a mysterious masked murderer or an alternate insano version of yourself who is batshit crazy.
Life is funny like that, especially with the choices that you have.
And what is your choice?
My choice will be Plan C, siding with neither one of those two, and come up with my own plan.
Okay, so what's the plan?
I have no idea. But I have decided to do a little research on all of the insanos throughout the alternate realms.
There must be an infinite number of them.
Actually, there are 1,987 different alternate versions of insanos out there throughout the entire multiverse. Because you see, for every internet critic that exists in this realm, there is at least one alternate insano in every other realm. But since there are so many insanos out there, I'm just going to mainly focus on the ones that are currently living on this planet right now. Starting with the original Dr. Insano on this planet. He stirred up quite a ruckus over the years, and for some reason he's pretty much went off the grid ever since. Nobody knows where he is, so we're going to have to keep that file open. Now apart from him, there is also a Dr. Linksano, Linkara's alternate counterpart, which he's been mostly siding with him throughout the last couple of years, so he's more or less neutral for the most part. And there is, of course, my alternate version, and then a few others. One in particular named Isano, who is the reviewer's alternate counterpart.
Damn, that is a lot.
Yeah, there are so many of them. That's without a doubt.
What about the Insano from Canada?
Canada? What are you talking about?
He lives in Toronto, has a pair of giant energy gauntlets, and wears this massive suit under his lab coat.
Dude, that's not an Insano, that's Dr. Terawatt.
Who's that?
Who is Dr. Terawatt? Well, that is a pretty interesting story.
Wait a sec, you're not about to do a review, are you?
Indeed I am!
God damn it.
Cue the intro! So, Locke, as for the synopsis as to who this profound character is, allow me to explain. Dr. Terawatt, formerly known as Dr. Holocaust, is one part comedic mad scientist and one part YouTuber, who has been making videos and tearing up the greater Toronto area for well over 7 years now. Most notably known for wreaking havoc at conventions and doing daily vlogs every April, Dr. Terawatt has left quite the impression on both fans and content creators, whether it would be meeting them in person, spooning with other mad scientists, or merely clashing with other internet critics and anime superheroes. I also have a sneaking suspicion that he may have created Ricky Burrick one night and pretty much escaped from his lab. But no one really knows the true origin story of how this Canucks madness truly began. Well, as it so happens, as a faithful watcher of the viral realm, I just so happened to come across it, as it is told by a very special two-parter video detailing how it all began, which leads up to the man that he is today. So without further ado, let's take a look at the death and rise of Dr. Terawatt. Our story begins with Dr. Holocaust and Ace of Blades going over applications for possible henchmen to hire. But the doc doesn't like any of these applicants because they are all pure-blooded Nazis, and they all believe Holocaust is a Nazi as well, mostly because of his name. Which he is not, just for the record. The guy pretty much just chose the name because of how cool it sounded at the time. But now he contemplates on the name because of how ridiculous it is beginning to sound to him.
And how could I rule the world with such a name? All hail the great and powerful Holocaust. How could future generations look up to me then?
So I got an idea for you. Get good. Get fucking good!
Later that day, Dr. Holocaust catches a ride back to the lair as his computerized assistant, Eris, informs him that Marrow Industries is working on a lot next to the doc's lair. He suspects that his nemesis, Professor Skull, has returned after all these years and plans to take him down once and for all. And lo and behold, after telling Eris to back up all of his personal data in the lair, Holocaust's limo driver bails on him after realizing that he planted a bomb inside the car. As the doc takes off via jetpack, he gets quickly taken down by a cosplaying assassin with a rocket launcher. We then cut to a church where a detective is surveying the damage at a crime scene, trying to piece together what exactly happened. It turns out that this is where Holocaust crash landed and is quickly ambushed by a bunch of undead goons. And we get a series of back and forth clips as the detective goes through what went down in here, and Holocaust playing out those events in a pretty good fight scene against the goons. Eventually, Holocaust does overcome the odds and takes them all down. Or so he thinks.
And that's when it happened.
That's right, a single rifle shot from the hot pants assassin from earlier is the one who takes out Dr. Holocaust as he lies dead on a pile of lumber. And as the hipster news outlets confirm Dr. Holocaust's death, the agents from the Department for Meta-Human Control go over Holocaust's file throughout the remainder of Part 1. Mostly talking about his brief history, showing off his sweet fanfic bio, and despite taking on numerous other characters in Canada over the years, he has not once killed anybody throughout his career.
Are we sure this guy is even a villain?
The agent does make a good point. I mean, how else are you supposed to conquer the world if you can't crack a few eggs along the way? After going over Dr. Holocaust's 7-year history, the agents ask why they are even looking over his files to begin with, if he is already dead.
Because as of 36 minutes ago, the body of Mr. McNamara, also known as Dr. Holocaust, went missing from the Toronto City morgue.
It would have been 26 minutes ago, but I really wanted to just waste the agency's time going over his already established records. I mean, really, you guys? We then cut to a flashback about 10 years ago where a young scientist named Brian McNamara is working with his coworker Tara at Marrow Industries. Brian explains to her all of his minor creations, along with all of the good potential that it could do for the entire world. Tara is both impressed and smitten with Brian's work, but is worried because he has to travel very far up north in order to properly calibrate his reactor without any EMF interference, but not before asking her out on a date before he gets back. Sly dog. After several months of hard work, Brian finally found the frequency to calibrate his reactor, and as he informs his security detail, he congratulates Brian by putting a bullet in his shoulder. Ah, so it's one of those types of company promotions.
You what? No. I'm gonna let you bleed out. I've been listening to you for 6 months, going on and on. Seems only fair that you lay here and think about what the hell's going on right now.
As standard villain practices go, we must now conveniently leave the room and assume that the killing device achieves its purpose.
Yes, I'm going to leave now and naturally assume that the gunshot wound in your shoulder will pretty much kill you off. This guy had pretty much one job to do, and he can't pull that off right. I guess it is true Canadians are polite up there. Struggling to make his way through the snow, Brian faints and later wakes up to the sight of a clean-cut mountain man who patches him up and nurses him back to health through the magic of montage. They say their goodbyes, and when Brian gets back to Toronto, he sees that Tara has moved on, as we see she is dating someone else. Brian is now sad as to what has become of his life, with nothing else to look forward to, until he remembers the sunglasses that Tara gave him, and that is when it finally clicked. The moment when he realizes that as one chapter ends, a new one begins, in which it starts with Brian stealing everything that he made at Marrow Industries and becomes the mad scientist that he is today. Fast forward to the present, and the assassin with the stylish hot pants who shot Holocaust turned out to be Tara, as she is quite surprised to see him alive and kicking.
This time you stay down.
Well, he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and I look at him.
Also, she's even more surprised to actually realize at this very moment that Holocaust is in fact Brian, which apparently she never really noticed until after he took off the shades. I mean, really? That sort of disguise without anyone noticing is about as dumb as the domino mask. So after a long talk, Holocaust still wants to continue to do what he thinks is right and save as many lives as he can, even if people do not agree with what he does. After knocking out Tara for no apparent reason, the doc heads to the Baddies Cafe where everyone is surprised to see him alive. It turns out that the doc had help from his old college roommate Warden, who is helping him with his recovery and is ready to get back into action starting with a new name.
I think we should call you lazy jackass.
Alright, you know what?
And no time like the present, what with the YouTube adpocalypse and everything, I'm pretty certain with a name like Dr. Holocaust in the title will pretty much get all of his videos demonetized. And thus concludes the true origin story of Dr. Terawatt. But this story of the madman up north still continues, for you see—
Magnatrex! I see you've been talking about me for your entire video here, so I assume that I require no introduction.
Damn it, what the hell are you doing here? I've already had my fair share of mad scientists for this year.
And from what I can see, it is not nearly enough. And besides, I'm invading your video today because you happen to come across my true origin story. Something very few have lived to talk about, and more people possessing this sensitive information is something I cannot allow.
What did you do?
Ah, it has arrived. You see, I have decided to take a page out of the most evil, devious corporation I could find, Disney, and have unleashed upon you my cruelest, most blood-sucking creation to date. Something many of you Americans absolutely fear the most in your country.
Hello, sir. Your name wouldn't happen to be Magnatrex. Yeah? Ah, splendid. My name is Paul D. Baggs of the Douche and Baggs Law Firm. Just wanting to let you know that you have just been served. What the hell is this?
That is a lawyer, good friend. I am suing you for copyright infringement for using my story on your show.
Whoa, ease up, Matt Haas. I didn't do anything wrong. Everything I use in my videos is fair use.
No, pish-posh. That's just something you internet critics always say whenever you feel pressured into a copyright strike. There's nothing transformative about it.
Actually, it sort of is.
Shush, Paul. I'm not paying you pro bono just so you can take his side.
Well, that was rude. Wait a second. You're not paying him?
Look, taking over the world is a full-time job, as you can well imagine, and I don't really have the time to get a good lawyer to do a cross-country lawsuit, so I just had to make do with whoever was available there in California.
Yeah, but suing me? Do you know how bad that would make you look? Pretty much everybody from content creators to my fans and even your fans will pretty much vilify you because of this.
Dope shit. I'm already a bad guy. Besides, it was bad enough with YouTubers who made those reaction videos off of other content creators' hard work to make a quick buck. But now we have the age of internet critics like yourself who are reviewing our stuff for your personal financial gain, and that is something that today I feel I cannot allow.
I'm not monetizing my BoobTube reviews anymore.
I'm sorry, you're what?
Well, ever since the YouTube adpocalypse kicked in, pretty much all of my BoobTube reviews have either been limited or demonetized at this point.
Seriously? Okay, now that is evil.
Tell me about it.
I may have emulated the wrong evil organization.
But what I'm getting at is that I'm not making any more money off of these videos anymore, especially this one.
So suing you would net me nothing.
Precisely.
Oh, curses! Defeated once again, this time by YouTube's copyright strikes, of all things.
Well, I guess I'll take this and be on my way. You have a good day, sir.
You may have won, sort of, this round, Magnatrex, but mark my words, you have not seen the last of me. Someday soon your precious state and everywhere else in this wretched world will bow before the rule of Dr. Terawatt and Evil Incorporated.
Hey, whatever happened to that Tara chick? Are you still seeing her or what?
What? Who? I don't know who you're talking about. Until next time, my brave citizens, I am Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is Outlayer 3.0, and I will see you next time on the Warfront. End of cameo. Cut the feed.
Well, that was mildly unexpected.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, some help you were.
What do you want me to do? Shoot him? I'm pretty sure a dead lawyer sprawled out in front of your house would be a bad image for you.
Alright, you do have a good point there. But you know, this has got me thinking. If I'm going to do some more research on comedic mad scientists, I need to go back. Way back.
You don't mean...
Oh yes I do, and I'm going to need a little help on this one. And with that said, I hope you guys like today's video. If you guys like what you see, feel free to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and all that other fun junk. And I will see you all next time on the BoobTube.